TJ Hushmanzada, welcome to First Take. How are you?
I'm good. How are you
This is
guys?
a welcome back
show,
to
baby.
First
Oh,
Take.
I see.
He was here
Like,
once upon a
when were
time.
you
He has
here?
done this show before.
He's old school.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And he was so good we had to retire him for a while. He took
It
the
was too
show.
much. You took over. We
Yeah.
want you here. Well, welcome back. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Big
Appreciate
fan
it.
of the show, from my understanding. Our producers say you love the show.
Yeah, I watch it a lot. Take my kids to school, come home and watch it.
All right, well, we appreciate
We like
that.
it.
Well, let's talk about this. You heard me say earlier that Westgate now has the Cincinnati Bengals favored now by a point. It opened at 3 for Patriots to win. Should they be favored, though?
I don't know if they should be favored. The Bengals are going to win the game, in my opinion. The way the Patriots just played, you're playing a Bengals team who's leading the NFL in points per game, giving up 11 defensively. And then offensively, you got Hugh Jackson now. I love Hugh Jackson. I think people know that. You look at Oakland since he left, and you look at Oakland when he was there.
Well, they were 8-8 when he was there.
Right, they've only won 8 games since he's been gone. And so, offensively, he's going to get his guys the ball that deserve the ball. He's going to find mismatches, and he'll pick on that guy until the coach stops it. And the Bengals have playmakers all across the board. They got a running back that can run routes. They got receivers that can throw and catch. Their quarterback, Andy Dalton, might be the weakest link on the team, and he can really play. So if that's your weakest link, you got a strong team.
He can really play.
He can. With Hugh coaching him, Hugh is going to eliminate his weaknesses, or he's going to try to cover them up, so to speak. Coaching in the NFL goes a long way. It's not the NBA where you get a ball to LeBron and say win the game.
Right.
Get a ball to Kershaw and say pitch me a complete game.
You can't give the ball to LeBron and say win the game.
Yeah, you can.
You can?
Yeah, you
No.
can.
You can.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, you
Side
know,
note,
digress.
we cannot apparently.
coaching in the NFL goes a long way, and it's evident. And Hugh Jackson is that coach that he can mask some of Andy Dalton's deficiencies.
Okay, so you think they're going to win the game, so they should be favored. And
Yeah, they should be. They should be favored. New England, they'll get back on track, just not this week.
Okay.
And by the way, are you speaking some with your heart? Some.
No. I'm speaking with my heart, but also with my mind as well. The Bengals are really good. I think the Bengals are the best team in the NFL.
All right, what's wrong with the Patriots then? What's your take?
They just don't have the playmakers. They need somebody on offense that can be that guy. You know, everybody said, oh, Tom Brady made Wes Welker, which he did, but you see Tom Brady needs Wes Welker now. He doesn't have a guy where he's comfortable with. You would think Gronk is that guy, but with him being injured so frequently, he needs to find a guy that he's comfortable and confident in.
All right, Stephen A.
2 points, Skip Bayless. TJ, one on the question, one ventures a little bit off because of things that I've said about Cincinnati previously. While he's here, he needs to know. One is that I'm inclined to disagree with you about the Sunday's game, but only because I feel like New England's desperate and it's in Foxborough. I know Cincinnati's a better team. I know they have better talent. I know that in all likelihood they'll make the playoffs. I get all of that. And I think that when you look at whether it's Giovanni Bernard, whether it's A.J. Green, whether it's Sanu, whether it's Gresham or Eifert or whomever the case may be, for Dalton to throw the ball to, he does appear to be a bit more disciplined. But this is Dalton during the regular season, and this is a regular season game. The playoffs are a different matter, so I don't blame you for picking them. I just think I'm inclined to lean towards New England simply because of their level of desperation. They're on their home turf, and the fact that they just got smacked around by Kansas City on Monday Night Football, and their flaws have just been so conspicuous. It's just too difficult to ignore. I think that sometimes it's like that rat trapped in the corner. You know, and what are you going to do under that particular situation?
I'm telling you, the Bengals are desperate too. Like, I wish when me and Chad and Carson, if we had this defense that the Bengals have now, I'd have a Super Bowl ring. If we had this defense, the Bengals can really, they're desperate too, because Marvin is preaching, oh, they think we're going to come in here and lose. That's what he's preaching. Well, they're desperate as well.
You brought him up.
Uh-oh, here we go.
I wanted to sit there and say this right in front of you. You know, listen, I'm on the record. You know, I don't apologize for rooting for the success of black coaches because there's not too many of them. You understand? And Marvin Lewis is somebody that I would like to see win. My issue is that if it's Jason Garrett or somebody else, we are all over them. Marvin Lewis has been the head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals for 11 years and has never won a playoff game.
That's going to change.
To me, he is lucky to have the head coaching job in Cincinnati. I know he's head coaching material. I know he knows football. I know he can coach. I'm not questioning that. I'm saying in Cincinnati, I'm only speaking about in Cincinnati. There should have been a new voice up in that piece this year. Do you have a problem with me saying that based on that fact? 11 years, 0 playoff victories.
I would say your point is fair. That's a fair point. But you got to understand, when Marvin got to Cincinnati, the situation that he inherited.
Stop.
And it's a long time ago. But you got to understand it. When I got to Cincinnati, all the receivers were young. We kind of taught ourselves. You look at the situation now with A.J. Green. He came in, he had no veteran presence. The thing with the Bengals that they need to correct, they need to have some vets kind of teach the young guys. We learned on our own. A.J. Green, he's learning on his own. And as a player, sometimes you need another player to teach you. Marvin can only do so much as a coach. You only can do so much. If you got players, you're going to win if you put them in good positions. They'll win a playoff game this year, and you have to go to another point. They might not win a Super Bowl.
I hope I can't. Listen, I won't even make the point if they win a playoff game.
They'll win one.
But how are you? Go ahead, Skip. I just don't understand how everybody can sit there and say, you know, he walked into it. It's 11 years ago.
Okay. Would you rather? How many years in a row have they been to the playoffs? Is it 3? 3 years in a row?
No.
You'd rather go to the playoffs than not go. So he's making progress. He's making progress.
Really?
He's making progress.
Really said that with a straight face.
He's making progress.
Okay, go ahead, Skip.
He's very fortunate to still have the opportunity to win a playoff
That's
game.
all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the point is fair.
All right.
The point is fair.
Stop right there then. Stop right there, TJ.
Back to the point spread on this game.
Yes.
If I were a betting man, and I am not, first of all, I can't remember in my time of analyzing point spreads a swing quite like this one.
Yep.
Because Tom Brady did not get hurt. He's still, as far as I know, he's still okay. Maybe not psychologically, but his body, I think he's still okay, even though he got roughed up a little bit in Kansas City. And this went from New England favored by 3 at home to all of a sudden New England is a 1-point underdog in a night game in Foxborough, the Sunday night game. Tribute to your guys from Cincinnati. I get all that. And Cincinnati did beat this team last year in the rain. It was a driving rain in Cincinnati. It was 13-6 Bengals. But I'm going to look, the overreaction, the knee-jerk overreaction to 41-14 the other night makes me smile because it's only advantage Patriots. And I am totally with Stephen A. Smith because this is a proud bunch. And it's more talented on defense than anybody is giving it credit for. And on offense, I'm going to remind you, last year with this same group, with some additions to this group, it scored the 3rd most points in the league. And people say, oh, Belichick let down Tom Brady. He didn't give him enough help. Well, it's the same group he had last year when he didn't really have Gronkowski very much. And they scored the 3rd most points in the league, and he did go get a Brandon LaFell. Now, again, is he a TJ or a Chad in Cincinnati? No, he's not, but he's pretty good. And Tom Brady loved Brandon LaFell in camp. And they got 2 kid receivers from last year who are both pretty good because they both have some deep speed. And the Boston Globe reported last night that Aaron Dobson has been in the doghouse. That's why he was a healthy scratch the other day, because he yelled back at Josh McDaniels. Okay, so that's one explanation. Kenbrell Tompkins, he must also be in the doghouse of somebody. Tom Brady's doghouse, because he was a healthy and active.
This ain't the time for all of that.
Hey, hello, I'm thinking.
Okay, well, maybe it's not, because maybe both of them will be healthy and active on Sunday night, and maybe they'll be big parts of the offense.
Man, the Bengals are loaded in the secondary, man. 1st-round pick after 1st round.
Okay.
Their whole secondary is 1st-round picks.
Well, you want to know who else is loaded in the secondary, who might, by the end of the year, have as good a secondary as Seattle? That is New England's secondary. Brandon Browner is back this week from his PED suspension. And Darrelle Revis, he's still pretty good. The last time I looked, and I thought their secondary was pretty good last year. Remember, this defense, without Will Fork, without Mayo, and obviously without Revis last year, still got this team all the way to the AFC Championship game? Okay. Are you kidding me? And Will Fork and Mayo are back, and Revis is there? Look, there are, you know this. There are aberration, outlier sort of games that happen every 2 or 3 weeks in this league, where you look at it and you say, what was that? Because you can't even explain it. I can't explain what happened Monday night in that outdoor decibel chamber that is Arrowhead, because they set the record again.
Yeah.
Okay? New England was not ready to play, right?
You've made some great points.
Okay. And then my final point, Stephen A. What is the Greg Popovich quote about? You must play with appropriate fear.
Yes.
I don't think New England went into the Kansas City game on Monday night with appropriate fear. And by the way, the San Antonio and New England organizations model themselves after each other, study each other.
When you use the phrase appropriate fear, what you're basically saying is respect the opponent.
Yeah.
Understand that if you don't bring your A game, you can get bounced out of here.
Like big bounced out, yeah.
And that's what you have to respect that. And when you don't have that appropriate level of fear, you usually fall. And that's really what this comes down to. I look at Cincinnati, I look at a team that's supremely and incredibly confident defensively, as well they should be. The problem is they usually end up the ones being kicking the barricades and the gates, walking off the field frustrated because they did their job.
Right.
But they didn't count on others not doing their job. And usually when you have that, that's a problem because you're thinking that it's all about you until you find out that it's not.
TJ, one moment before you respond. Skip, you said you read in the Boston Globe that Aaron Dobson is in the doghouse. Stephen A., you said this isn't the time for that.
This is not the time for that.
Well, I mean, obviously it's not.
It's 16
well, I hope
games.
The doghouse is open now. I hope.
Listen. You got... There are 6, unless you got a Thursday game, most often than not, there are 6 days between a game, from one game to another. This is to, torture them. Make sure you don't, make them run a little extra suicide.
Right.
Okay.
Don't feed them,
don't feed them.
You know what I'm saying? Make them have a curfew. There's a lot of ways to get guys rather than mess with them by benching them on game.
I agree with that.
How does that help Tom Brady?
I agree with that.
How does that help Tom Brady?
I don't get it.
The
All right.
Patriots will be on track, just not this week.
Okay.
All right, so TJ said it first, folks. He's sticking around. When we come back, 3 high school football players